Hey everybody, it's BrogiNaric back again with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about Daredevil Season 3. Now, this season of Daredevil was absolutely amazing, I have to say. This might be one of the best seasons of any of their shows they've ever produced. I was going into this a little worried, mainly because some of the promotional stuff just had him in the black suit, which I'm not a big fan of, and I was a little worried that things with certain new characters might not be cool, but now I have to say this season was awesome. There's much better action, a much more focused storyline throughout, and of course all these great characters and actors coming back and doing what makes them great. The main storyline is based on the Born Again story from the Daredevil comics written by Frank Miller, and there's certain elements of that story throughout that guides this storyline. There's better action in this season. There's a more focused storyline, as I said. There's great character moments, and in a way this movie is sort of like, oh wait, not the movie, the show is sort of like a better version of the Daredevil movie, and also sort of like a better version of the Punisher, which I love the Punisher, but there's a lot of elements from this story that are similar to the Punisher, but like, you know, stronger villains and even better action. And there's a lot more action. I think this is probably the most action-packed season of any of these shows, because they do not, like, there's a lot of great action scenes throughout this, and I'll get to some of them in the spoilers. Speaking of spoilers, I will have a few spoilers from the previous seasons, because this is the third season, so I got to talk about certain things that happened in the past. So, you know, if you saw Defenders, you know Matt has died, apparently. Well, they don't know if he's alive, but Foggy and Karen are kind of like, it's been a couple months since we've seen him. We haven't heard from him. So they're kind of thinking he's either gone, or he's either dead, or he's not coming back. And Matt survives the Midland Station building falling on top of him. He ends up going back to the old Catholic church that he grew up in when he was an orphan. And Matt is he's a different guy. He's a lot darker. He's more of an ass to his friends. Like I said, he doesn't even talk to them that much, at least in the beginning. And he's obsessed over Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. Now, he's also one of the not a problem, but one of the negatives of this season. They don't really talk much about the Defenders. Like, they barely mention the Defenders throughout this season, or the whole Elektra thing. He mentions Elektra like once, maybe twice in like the first 2 episodes, but they're like, it happened, let's just focus on this. So at the church, he's being helped by the priest there that, you know, helped raise them, and also one of the nuns there, Sister Maggie, who's made it her goal to help Matt, and she's like giving him shit, and he's giving her shit because he's like lost his faith. He's questioning her about God, he's questioning her about good and evil, and she's giving him tough love and trying to heal himself, and that's really good stuff. And then of course the other main focus is our villain Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, and he is like, I liked him in the first season, but I really loved him in the last episode, and like the 2 episodes he was in season 2, because he was like closer to the comics. And in this season, he is full on Kingpin. He's like got the white suit. He's got everything under control. He's got dirt on everybody. He's like in charge of the crime syndicates by the end of it, to a degree. It's really great stuff. And his story is he's been in prison since season 1, and now he basically makes a deal that gets him out on house arrest. And then there's some complications to why is that a good thing or a bad thing, because he's, you know, working with the FBI now. And that's about all I'll say on his part for now. Now Karen, the other 2 main sort of side characters, Karen and Foggy, they also have strong storylines in this season as well, which is great, because sometimes they kind of can fall to the wayside, but because there's no Elektra, there's no hand, there's no stick stuff, there's no Punisher, it's like they can give them more to do. And certain things, like with Karen, what happened in season 1 when she killed Wesley, that stuff is finally dealt with, which, you know, I'm happy to see, because they just didn't mention it in the second season, but it comes into a bigger part of the story this season. And also we finally get Karen's backstory about the whole thing with her brother, which was a really good episode. That was like episode 10, I believe, that focused mostly on her backstory, and that was really good. But Karen is she's a lot more focused. She's a lot tougher person because all the things she's been through, especially the stuff she went through in Punisher as well. And I would say I didn't hate her, because I have problems with Karen, especially in the first season and the second season. But I had zero problems from her. She was awesome. She was focused. Her and Matt's relationship is different, to the point where she doesn't even really like the whole friendship is kind of broken. Matt and Foggy aren't quite getting along. Karen and Matt aren't quite getting along, but Karen and Foggy have, stayed together, helping each other out. And Foggy has a good storyline. He's got a good job, he's got a good relationship, but he's starting to have some family troubles because, his parents are getting old, his brother's running the deli, and certain things happen in terms financially that kind of comes to bite them in the ass later on. We have two main new characters this season. We have what's his name, Raul Nadim, played by Jay Ali, who is a FBI agent, and he's the one who is in charge of the Wilson Fisk case, who helps get him out of prison. And I've never seen this actor before. I believe he's Indian. He is really good, and because a lot of episodes, especially in the beginning, he gets a lot of screen time, and thankfully he's a good actor and a really good character, because if he wasn't, this season wouldn't have been as good as it was. But he's a family man. He has some financial issues, and he really needs a promotion, and so this case has gotten him that promotion he wanted. But it's something he wanted, but it's probably didn't go down the way he wanted to. And another new character we have is Ben Poindexter, who is another FBI agent and who's a friend of Raul Nadim, and he's played by Wilson Bethel. And this is not a spoiler because Netflix already pointed this out. If you know the character's name, Ben Poindexter is Bullseye, the classic Daredevil villain Bullseye. He's in the show, and he is awesome. He is really good. I was worried because they were talking about how they were going to change all this stuff, and I was like, I don't know. But he was sweet. He's crazy as cat shit, and he works for the FBI. He basically does a good deed, but he's not rewarded for that good deed, and that plays with his psyche because he has a severe lack of empathy, where it's hard for him to be, compassionate to other people's problems. It's mostly about him. If he doesn't get his way, he tends to drop bodies. And so certain things happen that he starts to lose control, and then he starts going down a dark path. And I'm not familiar with this actor, but he was really good, and he did his fight scenes very well. And the action between him and Daredevil is amazing. Like I said, the fight scenes are on point this season. I don't know if they had a new stunt choreographer or not, but they really upped the action throughout this series, and I'm glad they did. There was a big action scene that they said would rival the hallway scene, and it's like Matt is basically in the prison. He has to fight his way out. That scene was cool. I don't think it was necessarily cooler than the one with the Punisher in season 2, but there's a lot of other action scenes that are amazing. So I don't know if that was the one they were trying to hype up, because I thought some of the other action scenes were even more amazing, especially the one in the final episode, which I would have to say, if I have a best episode, my favorite episode is episode 13, A New Napkin, which is the end of this season. And it was awesome, because it was just a culmination of, everything coming together nicely, and it has a nice ending to it. So all the recent Netflix shows getting canceled, like Iron Fist and Luke Cage, if they do cancel Daredevil, the way they ended it ends on such a good note that I can see this being the series finale. But if they bring it back, they do leave it a little bit there for it to come back. But I don't really know what else they can do, because they've done pretty much all the main Daredevil stuff, like, him versus Kingpin, him versus the Hand and Elektra, him versus Bullseye, Kingpin. Oh, well, I'll save another thing, but But they've done most of the main Daredevil stories, so I don't know exactly what they would do for a 4th season. And if I would have to grade this season, I would have to give it an A, 10 out of 10. This was great. Like I said, this is great stuff. They amped up the action, they amped up the story, the character moments. Like I said, Matt goes through some very personal stuff throughout the season, and all the main characters all have their own personal stories that work. Because sometimes that happens where they'll give some of the main characters their own personal stories, and they're not that interesting. Especially, I would say, Jessica Jones season 2, they do that, and not everyone's story is all that interesting. But in this one, they keep everyone's story attached to the main storyline, and it all works together. So that was a really well done job on them. I would, in terms of being an A, I would have to put this over Luke Cage season 2. If you've seen my video where I ranked the Netflix shows, I would put this as the new number 1 out of the Netflix shows, with Luke Cage season 2 being right below it. But yeah, great stuff. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's worth watching. I know, like I said, they drop in the Netflix shows, but check this one out. It's really good. You should really enjoy this. That's all I have to say for now, so stick around. I'm going to get into spoilers. Alright, so let's get into spoilers. I'm not going to talk about everything because there's a lot that happens, but just a couple things. So some of the great fights that were in this, there's the Kingpin motorcade attack, which was great. So, you know, Fisk gets out of prison, he's snitching on his enemies, and so when they're transferring him to his new jail cell, which is in this hotel, which of course he fucking owns, his motorcade is attacked because he snitches on the Albanians. And so the motorcade is attacked, a bunch of FBI agents die, Fisk is like chained up in the car, and like they're trying to get into it, and then out of nowhere this one FBI agent comes down the street. He's like shooting them, taking them out. He takes out all the Albanians, probably like 15 of them. 2 of them surrender. He shoots them. He's out of bullets, and then like 2 others come up behind him. He throws the clips, hits one in the throat and kills him, and the other one hits him in the head and I guess cracks his skull or whatever. But of course it's Dax Bullseye, and that's when Fisk realizes how good this guy is. That was a really sweet scene. There's a scene where Daredevil is fighting the FBI agents in the parking lot as I think he's leaving Fisk Hotel. That was a great scene. Daredevil versus Gladiator, which was cool that they got that in there. Gladiator, or Melvin, the guy who creates his suit and also creates Bullseye's knockoff Daredevil suit, which again, that was going to be my favorite episode at first. Episode, I believe it was 6, the one where Bullseye comes in and breaks into the office and like kills the writers, and he kills that one witness. That episode was so awesome, especially that whole scene was great. And I love when he's like using all the office supplies to attack Matt, and he takes that, I think it was a baseball on someone's desk, and he bounces off the wall and smacks him in the face with it. Great stuff. The way they did his powers was really good. And like I said, it's sort of like a better version of the movie, because Bullseye, he looked stupid and he was over the top, but his powers was accurate, and how deadly he was accurate. In this, he's just not as stupid. He is crazy, but he's like legit crazy. And it was episode 5 when they go into his storyline, and he like killed his baseball coach because he took him out of the game. I was like, okay, this kid is insane. And when he's like talking to the psychiatrist, and he like almost kills the psychiatrist. And then of course the whole stuff with this girl Julie that he's obsessed with, which it leads you to believe it's a sexual thing, but when he talks to her, it's kind of not a sexual thing, although I'm pretty sure it is a little bit, because he wants her to be like his new sort of psychiatrist, because he needs structure in his life. That's why he worked so well in the military and the FBI, because there was structured and regiment. He had people that could control him and tell him what to do, even though he would have his occasional tendencies where he would, you know, get mixed up, and his lack of empathy causes him to kill people. But and Fisk uses that against him, and he becomes his new mentor. Kingpin, man, Vincent D'Onofrio is amazing, and I love the whole idea of him running the FBI as his own protection, like his own crew. Fisk no longer has the thugs, his own thugs working for him. He now has like the New York branch of the FBI under his control. When Ray was gonna prove to his boss that Dex was the person who was dressed up as Daredevil, and they go to this area, it's his boss and her boss, and he, like, you know, they record him saying how, you know, Whisk and Fist is using us and Dex is evil. And then after they record, his boss takes his gun, shoots her boss, and then she's like, oh, Ray, why did you shoot Deputy so-and-so? And then, like, the guy comes in and they're like, look, if you snitch on us, we got this on tape. You killed this guy with your gun. And if you snitch on us, we're going to kill your family. And it's like, that shit was crazy. And he's, like, stuck in a rock in a hard place. Like, yeah, man, Fist was so good. Vincent D'Onofrio was so good. And he does that thing with he's always doing the thing with his hands, which I thought was weird in the first season, but just seeing it more in this, and like that somewhat blank face he has most of the time, it really works. It's a unique take on the character I've never really seen, but it works. And then, of course, he's also trying to get his wife back, Vanessa. She comes back in, and I love him and Vanessa. Their relationship is probably one of the best relationships out of these shows. It's like them, and then Claire and Luke Cage are really good. But like, I just love how she's so into him and he's so into her, but then like he's trying to protect her from all from the gangster life, but she's like, look, if I'm gonna be in your life, I want to be involved in everything. So he lets her into the crime family, and she's pretty ruthless herself. Karen, man. Yeah, Karen's origin, when you find out about the whole thing with her brother and how he died, like, you know, it's a car accident, but the thing that leads up to it, she's like dating this guy who's dealing coke. She and her boyfriend at the time are cokeheads, and they're dealing cocaine to college students. And then like her dad runs this diner, it's family diner. The mom died of cancer, and they're all dysfunctional. And so, yeah, the brother gets into a fight with the boyfriend, and the boyfriend almost kills her brother, so she, like, shoots the boyfriend. She doesn't kill him, but she does shoot him, I think, like, in the arm or something, and they driving away. So she's still, I think she was, like, drunk, and she was a little high off cocaine. The brother's bloody, and because he got his ass kicked. And as they're driving, she loses focus and gets into a car accident, and killing her brother, and, like, her dad doesn't fuck with her anymore. Because there's a scene where she, when she tells Fist that she killed Wesley, when she tells Fist she killed Wesley, that's it for her. She's like on the run from that point on. And Matt goes to some things family-wise, so he's hanging out at the church, and him and Sister Maggie are starting to get to know each other. And there's a moment where he's upstairs working out, and she's downstairs praying, and she mentions, she's talking to his father, Jack, and she's like, our son he's too much like you. He's got this, you know, this dark side in him. He wants to keep fighting. And Matt hears this because his powers, you know, he hears her talking, but when he hears her say our son, he's like, what the? He's just like, whoa, wait, what? And so he's pissed. He's pissed at her. He's pissed at the priest because he's known this the whole time. And the priest is like, yeah, we kind of kept it a secret, and I feel bad about that. And it's kind of, because I believe in the comics, she does leave him in the comics, but she, like, goes away. Like, she's a nun, but I think she goes, like, away, or maybe outside of New York, whatever. But in this show, she's literally, like, 9 blocks away from him. And it's really fucked up that she left her kid. She's only 9 blocks away from him, and kind of retroactively raises him in the orphanage. So, yeah, that was really messed up. But she just had, like, really deep postpartum depression, but this was like the 80s, so they didn't know what the hell that was. So she thought it was like, you know, God punishing her for her sins. So she dives deep into the church, but then she's like, oh, I committed another sin by not taking care of my kid, and all, you know, it's a whole thing. Let me talk about my favorite episode 13, A New Napkin. So Wilson Fisk is basically a free man now. His lawyers got him off because, you know, he owns the FBI, so they've dropped some charges. So Vanessa's gotten back into the country. Him and Vanessa get married, and they're having their little wedding at the hotel. So at this point, Foggy's worried that Matt's gonna kill Kingpin, and Matt is talking to Dex and telling him about how Kingpin killed Julie. So of course Dex doesn't believe him, but he gives him the address to where the body is hidden, because Kingpin did kill Julie. He got his people to kill her and then text Dex that she didn't want to see him anymore, so that further gave Kingpin more control over him. But once he sees this, Dex loses his shit. And so they're at the wedding, and him and Vanessa, Kingpin and Vanessa are dancing, and then everyone gets distracted by this video. It's a video of Agent Raul Nadim. He's giving his testimony because he tried it earlier, it didn't work, so he puts it on video before he gets killed by Dex. And so everyone's now looking at this, and they're like, what's going on? And then next thing you know, Bullseye's there in the Daredevil outfit, and he tries to kill Kingpin. He like throws the microphone at him, but Matt shows up to stop him, and there's this big fight in the dance room. Then they go up to Kingpin's room, and Matt's there, he gets there before Kingpin does, so he fights Kingpin, and they're fighting upstairs. He like throws him through a wall and everything. Like, oh man, Vincent D'Onofrio, he just laid hands on Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock was not ready for that smoke, man. He was going after him. Then Bullseye shows up, so now, and Vanessa's still there, so now Daredevil and Kingpin has to stop Bullseye from killing Vanessa. so they're dealing with that, and like he's getting the glass, he's throwing the glass, and he like stabs Kingpin, and Matt is like punching the hell out of Kingpin, and he's like, then he kind of realizes that, wait a second, Kingpin wants me to kill him, because if he does kill him, he won't have to be in prison. Now, he's willing to die so he doesn't be in the prison, even though he'll lose being with his wife, because he feels that being in prison is the last thing he wants to do, because he knows the strain that it put on him and Vanessa, and also the strain it puts on his criminal business. So he's like, if I have to go out, then let Matt kill me, and Matt will, you know, go in infamy. Matt realizes that Kingpin wants him to kill him, so he doesn't. But he's like, I'm gonna arrest you where you can rot in jail. And then I believe that's when Bullseye gets back up, and he takes out Bullseye, or maybe that was a little bit before, but he basically lifts Bullseye and like slams his back into the corner of the stone chimney, which breaks his back. So he's paralyzed now. And so Matt basically gets out of there, and then the police show up. The New York police, Mahoney and his people, show up, and they arrest Kingpin. They arrest Kingpin, Dex, and all the corrupt FBI agents, and Vanessa. And they also explain that this guy in the Daredevil costume is not the real Daredevil. The guy in the, you know, black ninja suit is. And so that's pretty much how the season ends. You know, everything's good. Kingpin's arrested. All the corrupt people are arrested. Hopefully, you know, they serve their time. And Matt and Foggy and Karen get back together as a team, and they're going to start their own practice. It was really good. Like I said, it was really good. It all tied up in a neat way. And also they leave a little thing where Bullseye is getting his back fixed, which confused me a little bit, because I'm like, I don't know who's paying for that, because I'm pretty sure Kingpin ain't fucking with him anymore. He tried to kill his wife. And S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't a thing. I don't know, maybe Hydra. I don't know. The hand could become, I don't know. Somebody's paying for the surgery. But it's not a big problem. But I thought that was weird. Like, wait, who's paying for the surgery? It's another great season of television. Daredevil does it again. Check it out. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and share it and subscribe to the channel. And stay tuned for more videos. Peace.
Finish this thought. I am a slave to
the booty.